The sixth rises between the two tents. To King Richard.
Let me sit heavy on thy soul tomorrow. Think how thou stabbedst me in my prime of youth. At Tewkesbury, despair therefore and die.
To Richmond.
Be cheerful, Richmond, for the wronged souls of butchered princes fight in thy behalf. King Henry's issue, Richmond, comforts thee.
The ghost of Henry the sixth rises. To King Richard.
When I was mortal, my anointed body by thee was punctured full of deadly holes. Think on the Tower and me, despair and die. Harry the sixth bids thee despair and die.
To Richmond.
Virtuous and holy be thou, conqueror. Harry, the prophecy thou shouldst be king, doth comfort thee in thy sleep. Live and flourish.
The ghost of Clarence rises. To King Richard.
Let me sit heavy in thy soul tomorrow, I that was washed to death with fulsome wine, poor Clarence, by thy guile betrayed to death. Tomorrow in the battle think on me, and fall thy edgeless sword, despair and die.
To Richmond.
Thou offspring of the house of Lancaster, the wronged heirs of York do pray for thee. Good angels guard thy battle, live and flourish.
The ghosts of Rivers, Grey, and Vaughan rise. To King Richard.
Let me sit heavy in thy soul tomorrow. Rivers that died at Pomfret, despair and die.
Think upon Grey, and let thy soul despair.
Think upon Vaughan, and with guilty fear let fall thy lance, despair and die.
To Richmond.
Awake and think our wrongs in Richard's bosom. We'll conquer him. Awake and win the day.
The ghost of Hastings rises. To King Richard.
Bloody and guilty, guiltily awake, and in a bloody battle end thy days. Think on Lord Hastings, despair and die.
To Richmond.
Quiet, untroubled soul, awake, awake! Arm, fight, and conquer for fair England's sake.
The ghosts of the two young princes rise. To King Richard.
Dream on thy cousins smothered in the Tower. Let us be led within thy bosom, Richard, and weigh thee down to ruin, shame, and death. Thy nephews' souls bid thee despair and die.
To Richmond.
Sleep, Richmond, sleep in peace and wake in joy. Good angels guard thee from the boar's annoy. Live and beget a happy race of kings. Edward's unhappy sons do bid thee flourish.
The ghost of Queen Anne rises. To King Richard.
Richard, thy wife, that wretched Anne thy wife, that never slept a quiet hour with thee, now fills thy sleep with perturbations. Tomorrow in the battle think on me, and fall thy edgeless sword, despair and die.
To Richmond.
Thou quiet soul, sleep thou a quiet sleep. Dream of success and happy victory. Thy adversary's wife doth pray for thee.
The ghost of Buckingham rises. To King Richard.
The first was I that helped thee to the crown, the last was I that felt thy tyranny. Oh, in the battle think on Buckingham, and die in terror of thy guiltiness. Dream on of bloody deeds and death. Fainting despair, despairing yield thy breath.
To Richmond.
I died for hope ere I could send thee aid. But cheer thy heart, and be thou not dismayed. God and good angels fight on Richmond's side, and Richard falls in height of all his pride.
The ghosts vanish. King Richard starts out of his dream.
Get me another horse. Bind up my wounds. Have mercy, Jesu. Soft. I did but dream. O coward conscience, how dost thou afflict me? The lights burn blue. It is now dead midnight. Cold, fearful drops stand on my trembling flesh. What? Do I fear myself? There's none else by. Richard loves Richard. That is, I am I. Is there a murderer here? No. Yes, I am. Then fly. What? From myself? Great reason why. Lest I revenge. What? Myself upon myself? Alack, I love myself. Wherefore? For any good that I myself have done unto myself? Oh no, alas, I rather hate myself for hateful deeds committed by myself. I am a villain, yet I lie, I am not. Fool, of thyself speak well. Fool, do not flatter. My conscience hath 1,000 several tongues, and every tongue brings in a several tale, and every tale condemns me for a villain. Perjury, perjury in the highest degree, murder, stern murder in the direst degree, all several sins, all used in each degree, throng to the bar, crying all guilty, guilty. I shall despair. There is no creature loves me, and if I die, no soul will pity me. And wherefore should they, since that I myself find in myself no pity to myself? Methought the souls of all that I had murdered came to my tent, and every one did threat to-morrow's vengeance on the head of Richard.
Enter Ratcliffe.
My lord.
Who's there?
Ratcliffe, my lord, 'tis I. The early village cock hath twice done salutation to the morn. Your friends are up, and buckle on their armour.
Oh, Ratcliffe, I have dreamed a fearful dream. What think'st thou? Will our friends prove all true?
No doubt, my lord.
Oh, Ratcliffe, I fear, I fear.
Nay, good my lord, be not afraid of shadows.
By the Apostle Paul, shadows to-night have struck more terror to the soul of Richard than can the substance of 10,000 soldiers armed in proof and led by shallow Richmond. It is not yet near day. Come, go with me. Under our tents I'll play the eavesdropper to see if any mean to shrink from me.
Exeunt King Richard and Ratcliffe. Richmond wakes. Enter Oxford and others.
Good morrow, Richmond.
Cry mercy, lords and watchful gentlemen, that you have taken a tardy sluggard here.
How have you slept, my lord?
The sweetest sleep and fairest boding dreams that ever entered in a drowsy head have I since your departure had, my lords. Methought their souls whose bodies Richard murdered came to my tent and cried on victory. I promise you, my heart is very jocund in the remembrance of so fair a dream. How far into the morning is it, lords?
Upon the stroke of 4.
Why, then 'tis time to arm and give direction.
He advances to the troops.
More than I have said, loving countrymen, the leisure and enforcement of the time forbids to dwell on. Yet remember this: God and our good cause fight upon our side. The prayers of holy saints and wronged souls, like high-reared bulwarks, stand before our faces. Richard except, those whom we fight against had rather have us win than him they follow. But what is he they follow? Truly, gentlemen, a bloody tyrant and a homicide, one raised in blood, and one in blood established, one that made means to come by what he hath, and slaughtered those that were the means to help him. A base foul stone, made precious by the foil of England's chair, where he is falsely set, one that hath ever been God's enemy. Then, if you fight against God's enemy, God will, in justice, ward you as his soldiers. If you do sweat to put a tyrant down, you sleep in peace, the tyrant being slain. If you do fight against your country's foes, your country's fat shall pay your pains the higher. If you do fight in safeguard of your wives shall welcome home the conquerors. If you do free your children from the sword, your children's children quitted in your age. Then, in the name of God and all these rights, advance your standards, draw your willing swords. For me, the ransom of my bold attempt shall be this cold corpse on the earth's cold face. But if I thrive, the gain of my attempt, the least of you shall share his part thereof. Sound drums and trumpets boldly and cheerfully, God and St. George, Richmond and victory!